Never trust strangers, Sammy. This is gonna be fun.
Welcome back to Shatter Our Souls with Novaria. Today, we are tackling Gandrayda. Now, in the entirety of the trilogy up to this point, there's very few enemies that truly stand up to Samus in terms of being a bounty hunter. And this is, I think, purposeful. The individuals that do hold a candle to Samus are individuals like Dark Samus, who is everything except also slightly more, what's the word? Instinctual. However, Gandrayda's unique. See, Samus's core strengths lie not within raw power, nor within defensive might. It's much more about her capabilities being able to survive and handle threats in unique ways. Her infiltration, stealth, and admittedly, yes, a lot of raw power and defensive might involved. She is, bar none, one of the more versatile hunters. But if you had to pick any one of the other hunters that showed up in Prime 3 to hold a candle to Samus, it would be Gandrayda. Gandrayda is a shapeshifter, and this in and of itself makes Gandrayda uniquely powerful, because effectively, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to Gandrayda. She is too fast to hit nicely? Use missiles. Oh, wait, nope, that doesn't work because she's now a defensive tank version of I believe it's called a behemoth, or turns into Rundus, or Gore, or even Samus. Effectively, it doesn't matter what you throw at Gandrayda, because Gandrayda has an answer for absolutely everything. This makes the character, at least in the truest sense, one of the most dangerous and most versatile beings in the galaxy. Of course, this can't be without some limitation, at least prior to her gaining access to Phazon. With Gandrayda's access to Phazon, I've always looked at it as something that enhanced her innate abilities, something that made her more capable overall compared to other hunters out there. The first one that comes to mind is, of course, Rundus. Rundus is powerful. He is effectively Frozone from The Incredibles. His whole shtick is that he freezes enemies in place and uses Phazon as almost a power source or a means of using his abilities for longer periods of time without necessitating an external energy source. This is one of the primary core abilities that make Rundus powerful in his own right. He focuses almost exclusively on raw attack power, making him unironically more powerful than Samus. Gore has the massive battle suit, which acts as more like a mobile fortress. He is the tank of the group, if you will. If you can slow him down, if you can pin him down, you still have to pierce that armor. And that's kind of the beauty of Gore's character's design, as well as his core capability. It is an individual who is well versed in the battle of attrition. Slow and steady wins the race. He can dish it out, he can take it. Gandrayda is a shapeshifter, and her abilities to me are similarly augmented by Phazon, but not in a way that I believe that most people would expect. It effectively allows Gandrayda to be able to transform into more items. My guesstimation is that it takes energy to divide herself, or to mimic self. This makes her ironically incredibly hard to catch. I'm sorry, copyright infringement of Samus's godlike powers. Maybe that's not the right thing to say about this instant, but Gandrayda's power comes from the fact that she can be anything. But prior to meeting her on the pirate homeworld, we had only ever seen her take the form of Samus, just as a joke. She took the form of a space pirate, grounded variety, and that was it. We didn't see her take on any oversized armor. We didn't see her take on the form of a entirely different looking species. Therefore, my guesstimation of what the Phazon does for Gandrayda is that it boosts the energy, or provides the energy necessary for her body to undergo cellular division in order for her to mimic various items and objects. This is a theory, this is not canon, to be 100% clear. But regardless, Gandrayda is by far and away, because of this, I suppose, change to her abilities, is far stronger than prior versions of the other characters. She is not as powerful as Rundus. She is not as tanky as Gore. But she ends up having the best of both worlds while being able to mimic or act on her capabilities pretty much at any point in time. So, all good, right? And I personally like that aspect of the character's development. Gandrayda is meant to be, I suppose, the infiltration specialist. Effectively, she can get into any group of what I'll call hostiles with absolutely no concern, because her capabilities simply make her blend in. The only thing that she cannot mimic, to my understanding, is a voice, or perhaps mannerisms. So, theoretically, Gandrayda is the perfect infiltration specialist. So where does that put Samus? Samus is, of course, the everyman. She is the one that can do a little bit of everything that all of the other hunters can. She doesn't have the same raw power that I believe Rundus does. She is not quite as tanky as Gore. And, dare I say, isn't going to blend in hostile territory anytime soon. But I don't believe that Samus needs to blend in. I believe that the fact that Samus can, we'll say, infiltrate through alternative means Samus doesn't need to blend in like Gandrayda. All of this is to say that each of the characters thus far have a niche. Samus is just, in my opinion, the most balanced of them. Rundus has good offense, but lacks a strong defense, and his mentality around infiltration is create ice, freeze objects, and shatter it around him so that he can infiltrate or move at his own leisure. He doesn't infiltrate, he just breaks things. Gore is much more stealthy in nature, at least his core body is. But in combat situations, he has the giant mech, which on its own isn't all that ridiculous, or isn't all that out there. a little bit different, but it's not excessive. It ends up being a defensive wall with very limited weak points. And this is good. But he lacks finesse and doesn't have the right mentality for infiltrating on the same level as Gandrayda. Gandrayda at base lacks defense and offense. And note I said at base. Because of this, Samus and Gandrayda are very similar. They both focus in on a little bit of everything depending on the time. But Samus has the upper edge, or has the edge in my opinion. Anyway, the Space Pirate homeworld up to this point has been kind of a weird mixed bag. There are some things that I think could be done better, but I think my main concern with this area has to do with the fact that this area, much like Brio, ends up being a more linear area by comparison. Everything has a specific time and place. Every single action, every single tool. The problem is that most of the tools that I have access to throughout the duration of this battle don't really match up. How do I put this? There's room where Samus could be stronger, and I know that's by design. But we also end up with this weird situation where I need to defeat Gandrayda to get the next major set of upgrades. So half of the pirate homeworld right now is locked out. And in my first couple of playthroughs, I got stuck trying to figure out where I was going, simply because I kept going in circles trying to figure out what one odd piece of information did I miss. What is it that I overlooked? And I ended up going through the entire region 4 separate times just to realize, oh wait, I missed this one small location over here, or I missed a tunnel in the roof and have to backtrack all the way to the start again to go through this tunnel, or things like that. So it is, I suppose, slightly backwards to say that this area is incredibly linear, but also incredibly, what's the word? Obtuse? To traverse. But be that as it may, the Pirate Homeworld is fantastic for certain things. Anyway, with Gandrayda officially defeated, if you like what you see, drop a like, leave a sub, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, have a good one.